You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers about hikers for everybody.
This is the Hammock Hangers Podcast, where we hang out and talk about everything from hammocks and hammock camping to the group hangs from around the country. Hey everyone, welcome to the Hammock Hangers Podcast, where we unwind, relax, and delve into all things hammock related. Join us as we swing into the world of hammocks, exploring tips and tricks for setting up that perfect hang, sharing stories of outdoor adventures, and discovering the latest trends in hammock camping and relaxation. Whether you're a seasoned hammocker or new to the art of hanging, this podcast is your cozy corner to kick back, escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and soak in the soothing atmosphere of the hammock culture. Prepare to be inspired, educated, and entertained as we embrace the hammock lifestyle together. So grab your favorite hammock, find that perfect spot to hang, and let's embark on a hammock-filled journey that will leave you feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, and ready to take on the world. This is the Hammock Hangers Podcast, where every episode is a breath of fresh air. Let's get started. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another fun-filled episode with myself, Skunkape, and my trusty sidekick, Pheonix.
Did you call me susty?
I called you something. I don't know what I called you, but anyhow. And I'm the one drinking water. That's what's scary about it.
I am not.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so this episode might get a little... I don't know. We're just gonna go with it.
Free flowing.
Yeah, free flow. So
I am preparing my liver for the filth that it will start to accumulate next week as teachers go back to school. And
you're getting a head start, huh?
Yeah, I'm getting a head start on that liver scrubbing.
Nice.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
Nice.
Clean and healthy.
Try.
Yeah.
I got the editing skills with the beep too, if need be.
Yeah.
But hopefully, I've only had to use that once, and it wasn't even on my podcast. But all right, so this week, I guess AJ's obviously back from his vacation, his family vacation of 2024. So we are going to talk about that, and also another little side trip that AJ just got back from.
Are we talking about that?
I think.
Okay,
you can mention a little bit of it anyhow.
We can mention it. I don't want to drop too many hints because I want more people involved in this conversation. But yeah, we'll definitely drop some. Yeah,
you can drop a few hints.
Yeah.
Little teasers. But anyhow, I'm kind of sad that I didn't get to go on that trip too. But
I was.
Work sucks.
I was as well.
Work gets in the way.
Not all of us can. I'm not going to say it's because other people might think the same thing. Oh, teacher's great. It's great. You can, get paid for, 10 months out of the year and only have to work 10 months. It doesn't quite work that way, but a lot of people perceive that that's how it goes, but it's not really that way.
I mean, I'm sure there's pros and cons to your job versus mine, and then there's pros and cons of my job versus yours. So.
There is. So I'm fully taking advantage of the schedule my job of choice allows me to take.
Yes. I just wish I had those same choices. But
on the flip side, your paycheck is a lot bigger than mine.
Yeah, but I'm also killing myself to get that.
Yeah, there's that. You can't take it with you, Paul. You can't take it with you.
I know.
But so we're going to be talking, we got a lot to talk about because my trip was pretty incredible, and I guess it kind of inspired me to maybe ask you some questions as well.
Ask me some questions?
Ask you some questions that
Oh wow. Okay.
I don't know, it's just seeing some parts of the country, and as we see that a lot of the places are right on, if not super close to the AT.
Okay.
And seeing some of, and knowing that you did your through hike in 2011, correct?
12.
2012. Okay, I totally did not tell people that I met on the trail that you did it in 2011, but it's fine. Everything's fine. It's not like they're going to go back and check.
Yeah. It's going to be like that guy that I met up there was a liar.
But yeah, so just some of that experience with like the hiking and it really made a lot of things like come to light, I guess, but also, with the possibility of, at least strongly considering, if not a through hike of the AT, a through hike of a longer distance trail, whether it be, the long trail that we did, or the foothills trails that me and you have talked about doing.
That we are going to do.
That we are going to do at some point.
That's a definite. We just got to nail down the time of doing this.
Or like, the Ozarks or stuff like that. Just kind of put some of these questions into the forefront of my mind. So
we need to do the Penhody Trail too.
Yeah.
I've heard that's a good one.
Let's start with the log trail.
Okay. The Penhody Trail ain't that long.
At least that one is in the forefront of our mind. It's pretty easily accessible, relatively. It's a lot easier accessible and more desirable than the trail that is the closest to us, because in the grand scheme of things, I'm sorry, I have no desire to through hike the Florida Trail.
Oh, that would be one of the last ones that I'd hike.
I have no desire. Like,
I mean, I go out on it every once in a while in little sections.
Yes, I
like to through hike it.
But the majority of the trail, there isn't like any one place on the trail that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've got to do that.
Yeah, not that I've heard of or seen or anything like that yet. But
yeah. Sorry for you Florida Trail lovers, which, I mean, I do like the sections that we hike.
Yeah, I like going out on it. It's just a through hike part that
the through hike of it just doesn't excite me. But anyway, let's get back to my trail, because or my big hike. And
so let me ask you a question real quick before you actually get into it.
Okay, sure.
How did this vacation, 2024, compare to your past ones?
Ooh, so I've thought about this a lot. It was the first time in where did we go 3 years ago? I guess this is the first time in 3 years that we've mainly stayed in the eastern part of the United States.
Okay.
The last 2 summers, for the most part, we've went out west.
Right.
It was not out west. And I tell people, I'm a self-proclaimed Appalachian mountain snob. I love the mountains, even though I technically kind of sort of live near the beach. I never go. Just the beach, just sand, and just, I'm not a beach person. Never have been, probably never will be.
Nope.
But I love being in the mountains, and the Appalachians definitely have this spot in my heart. Just, that's where my soul belongs, just because that's the area that I grew up in central Virginia.
Well, it's something about the Appalachians anyhow, though. Because I mean, I was born and raised down here, but I probably have that same same pull and draw that you do.
No doubt. And that was one thing that me and Dawn had talked about when we were driving, as we're trying to kill time. It's really cool that even though I grew up like those mountains were like Sharp Top in like Bedford, Virginia, I would see that driving to school every single day in the school bus.
Right.
And never has that not just given me this sense of awe.
Right.
Like it's something that, you look out in your backyard and like, oh, well, that's something that you see every single day. No, like those mountains, there's just something like spiritual about those geologic formations that just warm my soul, really. There's no better way to say it. But man, those mountains out west, they just hit different. But
I gotta get out that way and see them.
Honestly, if it was up to me planning a perfect vacation, I would just say, hey, I'm going to Glacier for like a month and just see the Rockies there, and then go into the the Canadian Rockies, like Banff and Jasper, I think is a town up there, which they're dealing with some big wildfire right now. Is what I heard, that Dawn was telling me about. But yeah, just I don't know, they just hit different. But I will say we were in the mountains, and just different types of mountains,
Right.
but still incredibly beautiful. I will say on the flip side, cumulatively, the weather for this trip was probably the worst that we've ever done.
Well, that was during that weird,
Yeah, it was weird.
streak spell,
It was weird.
whatever.
And I'll talk about that as I'm going through things.
Right, where up north was warmer than it was down here.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It was not conducive to doing a lot of the things that we wanted to do, and as you'll see, it prevented us from doing a lot of the things that we wanted to do, especially the kind of main thing that I really wanted to do. But I'll get into that as we go along. But yeah, the trip cumulatively, we left on June 6th and we got back July 7th. So about 31 days.
Okay.
31, 32 days, depending on how you look at it. I don't know. Numbers are hard. So yeah, that's kind of like where our vacation kind of runs. We always kind of maybe add a week just because, we want to stay a little bit longer here. This year we added on another week because, hey, we want to stop at Shenandoah again and see some of my friends see one of my best friends from college and see a few other people. So that inherently, between the kind of sort of 3 or 4 stops that we made on the way back, kind of extended that way. But again, we get to see more people,
right?
And that's kind of the side quest version of our vacations too. I like to see people that I don't normally get to see, and whether they be people in the hammock community, which I got to see, and or just old friends that live in other parts of the country that I don't get to see all the time. I like to kind of add those in as we travel if they're able.
Gotcha.
But yeah, but no, overall it was a really good trip. We checked off a lot of states that I have never been to, and so yeah.
Now, when y'all first left, y'all stopped first to see your new nephew. So
okay. I don't want to tell their whole story, but
sure.
They had a lot of trouble, like conceiving and having kids, and they had their son through surrogacy. And so he was actually born maybe a week or 2 early, but we got to see him, and it was just this really cool experience considering all the trouble and stuff that they have been through.
Right.
He's just the cutest thing, and they are doing terrific, and everybody is just kind of adjusting really well. And so he's our newest little cousin / nephew to the cousin crew. So no, it was really cool. And that was, we stopped in Ball Ground, Georgia, which is near where they live. And so some highlights of that particular trip. I don't know exactly where it was. I didn't find it in my notes, but that was the first time that I stepped on the AT for this trip. So we went on this little, it's probably a 2-mile round trip, little out back hike to one of the kind of mountain views out there.
Okay.
And that's where I did my first official 2024 AT through hike.
Is that where the video is from?
That's where the video was from. Yeah. So we got down off that. It's like, I got to do it. Now, what a lot of people don't see in the video that I posted on our HangCon page, and I think I posted on our podcast page as well, when I hit end 2 seconds as I'm getting off my quote unquote Mount Katahdin, I literally almost twist my ankle in a very bad way. But luckily I caught myself. So I'm just thinking, the hiking gods are not smiling upon me in the mockery of that I'm
That's
doing, I
it.
guess. I don't know. But that's fine.
Well,
It
I
didn't
mean,
prevent me from doing other things throughout the summers.
I am just glad that you just, once you made it to the top of that first peak, that you listened to your body and you took that 0 minute.
Yeah, you got to take the 0 minute. I mean, you can't push yourself too hard. You can't push yourself too hard.
Oh my god.
So yeah, and another little side adventure there. So they have a barrel aged coffee roaster in Ball Ground, and I came back with a slew of coffee. By the way, I am good on coffee probably for the next year, just because that's kind of my thing when I go, and I like to see coffee and taste coffee. So I usually pick up a bag to support local roasters. I usually buy a beer or two to support breweries and cideries and all that jazz. But I would say out of the coffee that I tried, now I haven't tried all of the ones that I bought, but out of the coffee that I tried, I bought 2.5 bags from this place. One regular Ethiopian, because that's just kind of like my go-to.
Right.
A light roast Ethiopian. So if anybody's interested in sending me some stuff, Ethiopian light roast or Costa Rican light roast, kind of my bag. But no, I got a full bag of the light roast barrel aged and a half or a little 2-ounce bag, a taster bag essentially, of the medium roast. Because medium roast for me are kind of like, well, did you do it right, or did you kind of overly do it and it's kind of tastes burnt? It's kind of a tricky situation. That's why I usually go for the lighter roast. But no, the medium roast and the light roast of the barrel age were both amazing. And more than likely, I'll end up ordering some stuff from them or having my brother-in-law bring them down whenever they come down. But it was really, really good. On the flip side, Dawn cannot stand it. She does not like barrel flavors. We do cideries a lot. So if there's anything in the description that says barrel age or something like that, she's immediate says like.
I remember her saying that when we was over in Denmark and y'all were doing the mead tastings.
Yes. So whenever I would make a cup of coffee from the barrel aged stuff that I bought, which it's a very present barrel smell, she's like, "Oh, there's that wet wood coffee again."
Wet wood coffee,
but it's really good. It is really, really.
That's probably why you bought it, so you didn't have to share.
Yeah, probably. No, it was really, really good. I'm a huge bourbon barrel aged coffee. And with the barrel aged beans that I've tried bourbon, I've tried rum. It's either black or white. It's either really, really good or really, really bad. So luckily, this was in the good aisle. So, but yeah, so that was our little jaunt in Georgia. We mainly just stayed with them and we played some tennis. My daughter went to like a tennis camp because my brother-in-law kind of runs a tennis facility at a country club, just around Ball Ground, and so we kind of did that. So we left there and we landed in a place that I had gone to as a kid, Claytor Lake State Park, which is a little outside of Pulaski, Virginia, and it's just a really nice state park. They do have some sites that with power and electricity, water and electricity, but ours did not. Ours did not have electricity. I don't think it had water either, but we were only there for one night and the temperatures had not gotten crazy high in the mornings or in the afternoons at least. So we were able to still sleep just comfortably. We were looking at high 50s at night, either high 50s or low 60s.
Yeah, that ain't bad.
For the early parts of the trip. That's kind of the MO for a lot of the places, even the places that we had electricity. That was kind of the thing. Now, that did not stay, unfortunately, that did not stay the course the entire trip. But for the earlier days, that was kind of the norm. So 70s, 80s during the day, and then high 50s, low 60s at night, which was, wonderful because also there was no humidity like we have here.
Right.
So our second place was I want to say the Elizabethtown KOA West Harrisonburg, West Hershey, Harrisonburg, Hershey, Pennsylvania. So we were only there for one night. However, we did some hiking. It was a little it followed this rails trail. That was a little up the road that walked out to this place called Bordner's Cabin. It was just a little adventure trail, and it was like this house that the government acquired this land, but this guy lived in this like really nice cabin there. It was like picturesque. It was around a creek. Like if I won the lottery, like that would be kind of the situation that I was looking at. It was just really, really cool. But built back in like the early 1900s, and the guy lived into it, till maybe the 70s, something like that. Maybe the park took over in like the 30s. But it was just a really cool place. And so we hiked out there, looked at the cabin. You could go in the cabin, go into all the rooms, and it was just a really cool experience. And so, yeah, that was pretty much that. On the flip side, I did go to my very first brewery the entire trip, which is a place that I usually like to stop. It was a place called now I'm hoping I'm not butchering this, Schnitz Creek Brewery. And I got like a variety pack there that had some like really interesting, weird flavors and stuff. But every single thing that I got was really, really good. So shout out to Schnitz Creek Brewery.
You just like saying
PA.
that now.
I'm not going to say it every time, but it was.
You're bound to mess up one of these times. Is what I'm waiting on.
Yeah.
Take you another sip of your drink.
Yeah.
And then say it again.
Cheers. Yeah, that was a really cool place. The experience I didn't get really because I went there. I needed gas, so I thought I'd make a stop. And the funny thing that I found out at in Pennsylvania, not all gas stations carry beer.
Really?
Like, yeah. So I went to the gas station. I was like, gosh, I really could use a cold one and not a Coke. But I went to like 3 gas stations, and apparently you have to apply for a separate alcohol license, and so not a lot of places do it.
Down here, they'll carry beer before gas.
Well, there's that. But yeah, so I actually had to drive. Now, luckily, it was only like 3 or 4 miles down the road, but it was just a restaurant essentially. They had like a little display area that had all their stuff, so I went in and just got stuff. It wasn't kind of the tour or tasting that I normally get, but yeah, gotcha. The stuff was good. Stuff was really good. So we leave PA. Now the AT actually ran right very close to where we were at the campground. However, we were just there for one night. It was a really nice KOA, by the way. And it was only one of 2 KOAs that we stayed at the entire trip. But it was really nice, and we're out the interstate. It was a great location for what we needed. And if you followed the kind of the rails trail that actually ran through the KOA, you could get to one of the trailheads to access the AT right there. But
cool.
Alas, okay. I did not hop on the AT there like I had planned to do. But so our first major stop came in our next stop. We stopped at Emerald Lake State Park, which was in Vermont.
Okay.
Up into, let's see, I want to say when we were at the KOA in we were in the KOA at Pennsylvania. I used my stand. When we were in Claytor Lake, I was able to use trees. At Emerald Lake, I did have to use a stand. They did not have the tree situation there was less than ideal. And the sites were a little on the smaller side, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But So the thing that kind of gets me about this particular location, the thing that sticks out. So we get there, I guess probably around like 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We get set up and it's like, hey, there's not really a lot to do here. We're only here for a couple days. Um, so we go down to the check-in area, and one of the things that I like to do when we go to certain places is I don't like to necessarily just rely on Google tell me where to go eat and things like that. It's like, hey, where's a good local place to go get food? Like, talk to some locals, and the kids that we were asking, they were in their lower 20s, early 20s, and they were working for the state park, so I assumed that they would just have a lot of money. So I said, where they're going to give me is going to be not stupid expensive, but still going to have like good food, like good local vibe. So they told me a Mexican place. So I was like, oh, okay, this should be good. Like, I like Mexican. I mean, it's Vermont, so I don't know how authentic it's going to be, but
right.
Yeah, we'll go. So we go to this place, and it's in this old house. And I don't even remember what the restaurant was called, but I do remember that we didn't get any appetizers. We got waters to drink, and we all just got one entree. And with tip, it was like $120.
That's for the 4 of you.
That was for the 4 of us. Yeah. 2 children, by the way. Now, granted, my son doesn't necessarily count as a kid anymore, but like 3 adults and 1 child. And like, we got burritos. Like, I got a burrito. Now, it was good, but for Mexican, I'm sure there's people out here, like when I was talking to, from past episode, the 3 amigos in Denmark, they were just like, I was telling them about it, and they said, oh, well, that's just normal here. As we know, food in Denmark was more expensive than it was here.
Look, to me, that's not that expensive, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yes, because,
am I just a cheapskate?
I don't think you go out to eat nearly as much. Used to, I would think that would be expensive. But, I
know things have gotten crazy expensive.
They have. Look, and I know this is Disney, okay, but we just got back from Disney a couple of weeks ago. We went over and stayed in the Animal Kingdom resort and everything, where you wake up and you see the giraffes and all that stuff outside your balcony and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There was just 3 of us. It was myself, Deanna, and Liam, okay? And one of the places that we went to eat there at the resort, it was almost $200 for the 3 of us. It was nuts. But I've gotten to where at least once a week I go to a sushi restaurant and get me sushi. I don't know, ever since Denmark, and we ate at the sushi restaurant.
I was like, this is a new thing for you, Paul.
Yes, it is. Yes, even Deanna says that too. All but right. Because I couldn't stand sushi. Corey. I couldn't stand sushi before then. Now I crave it. And God, just me getting sushi, I'll spend $35-$40.
Okay, now the thing is, like, sushi is expensive. Like, I agree, but I don't know, for burritos, I was not expecting.
Let's see. I just had Mexican a couple of days ago, and there was 2 of us. It was me and one of the guys I work with, and I ended up picking up the tab because he had paid for breakfast that morning. And just the both of us was, I want to say it was like $60-something. So, $30-something a piece.
Man.
Food's not cheap anymore, dude.
Yeah.
Unless you want to pack some ramen.
All right. So back to beyond.
Yeah, sorry. Squirrel.
So the second day, I actually had to go camp out at a Starbucks in town, not because I was enjoying their coffee, but which I did that as well. But I had a Zoom meeting for school. Teachers do like collaborative planning and things over the summer, and it was one of the things that I kind of wanted to let my opinion ring kind of a little bit. So I joined in, even though we were 800, or we were significantly more miles away
Right.
from there. But so I joined in on that. We did go to, let's see, was that? Yeah. So we went to a place called Smuggler's Notch Distillery. So they did distillery and things, which I got kind of a taster thing. They had a maple syrup bourbon, which was really, really good. They also had a maple syrup gin as well, which was really, really good. But another really good thing that they were doing, that what Dawn really did, they had a series of different maple syrups, because we're in Vermont, kind of maple,
Right.
other than cheese, maple syrup is kind of their thing. They were really good, and so we ended up buying some that we sporadically, well, me and Dawn sporadically used. We didn't let the kids use it because we didn't want them to waste it. We didn't want those uncultured swine to just gobble it down like Aunt Jemima's. I mean, I don't know if I can still say that now, but but
Right.
yeah, but yeah, like.
Have you ever had maple syrup straight out the tap of the tree?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, don't.
No.
Don't.
I mean, it's essentially, it's like it. I don't know, like the kind of ratio, but
I don't know.
maple syrup to boil it down to get all like the excess water out. It's some crazy ratio.
Well, let me tell you. Whenever I was doing my hike, trail goes by a bunch of the maple trees that are tapped, and everything, and there was one that the tap was leaking a little bit. And so I decided to take and get some on my finger. I'm expecting, maple syrup.
Concentrated maple syrup.
Maple syrup. Yeah, right? Oh, this is going to be awesome. That is the most bitter crap you've ever put in your mouth.
Huh.
Don't do it.
Interesting.
Yeah, don't do it. Before it is processed or whatever. Yeah, no. There's no sweetness to it.
I would say maybe, so the highlight of this particular stop is a hike that we did. We did to Liebrook Falls. It was probably one of the second, maybe the second tallest waterfall that we saw the entire trip. But it was it was maybe like a 2.5 mile hike, maybe 4 miles round trip, so maybe less than 2 miles. But it was not that bad of a hike. And overall, the trail was pretty easy hiking. Pretty easy in the state of that particular area, because as we'll talk about here very, very shortly, the trails up there hit a little bit different. So I another really thing that stood out to me, I think when we were hiking back out, there was this girl that may have weighed 120 pounds soaking wet with sand in her shoes. Maybe 120 pounds. But she had 2 dogs with her cumulatively that weighed well over 200 pounds. And like it normally, if you have dogs on trail, I'm perfectly fine with it. Like, it is just fine. Some people didn't, and I just kind of mumble under my breath, "You're the reason we can't have nice things." But another thing with this girl was, one of these dogs that she had with her definitely was not people friendly.
Right.
But in the back of my head, I was just thinking, if Cujo here really wants to go, sweetheart, you are not stopping him.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It just seemed like a not poor trail etiquette to bring a dog that probably weighs more than you do.
Yeah.
And
yeah. No, I mean, especially if it's not people friendly or whatever, I mean, if I had a dog and it wasn't, people friendly, I wouldn't take it out on a trail where there were people on a leash or not on a leash. I mean,
and this was a big dog. Like, this was a dog that I would probably have trouble. Like, if he really wanted to go out, it would take everything in my power. He was butchy.
Yeah. And I mean, usually dogs don't bother me out on trail and stuff.
No, and for the
But
most part, I love seeing dogs on trail. Like I
I
really,
do,
really do.
I do understand the people that are apprehensive about them. 9 times out of 10, the people that are apprehensive about them have had bad experiences with dogs
Correct.
out on the trail
Correct.
because people don't know proper etiquette with their dogs out on the trail, and a lot of people will let their dogs just run off of a leash.
Yes,
You know,
and we experienced
those, in
that.
my opinion, are the people that don't need to be out there.
Yeah, we experienced that on numerous trails
Yeah.
that we were going. Now, luckily, for the sake of just us in general, none of those dogs were like mean.
Right.
But
But still,
it's
it can
just
be
a
a
matter
nuisance,
of-
even if they're not mean. They run and jump up on you and,
Yeah.
chase the all the wildlife and all that stuff. I mean, just keep your dogs
Well,
on leash.
so on that same trail, we had another guy that did not have a dog on leash. He was just free running.
Right.
I was just thinking of more of like if that dog meets up with Cujo on the leash, which I didn't see it, but I'm sure it had to have happened. Like, what does that look like for
Right.
everyone involved? So,
Right.
But
And then, of course, the guy that didn't have his dog on a leash would be the first one to get mad.
Yeah. But that's my rant for this.
Yeah, that's mine too. I'm sure I could go on about it for a while.
I've got other rants as we go along, so
we'll stop it there. That way we can keep this PG.
But as far as the campground itself, they had a lake there that you could hike down to, and that was really nice. Like there was a trail that kind of went around the lake to a little beach that they had there. That was really the only things that the campground itself had, but it was really nice. Like now that I'm thinking about it, I did hang with trees at this particular location. This was the camp. So this was the site that it was kind of weirdly shaped and how we could kind of get in. So we actually ended up having to, it was ridiculous how it ended up playing out, but we had to unhitch our pop-up and physically move the pop-up into place. Yes, it was.
Would you have had to have backed it in? I've seen your backing skills, is why I'm asking this.
I would have. We tried backing it in, but because of how narrow the road was, and like there was a stump and like the drop off on the other side of the road, and for how long it was, it just wasn't working out. So we ended up like pulling through another site and into that, and so it wasn't just that my backing up skills are not super superb. it had to do with like the width of the campsite and things like that. But
okay, we'll let you slide on this one.
Another thing that I noticed specifically here was the height of the trees were just significantly taller than a lot of the trees that we see even around here. There were just trees that were just massive, like massive pine trees that were up until this point in my summer were the tallest I had seen. And yeah, they were just really straight and tall, and it was just really cool. I don't think that I've seen trees as many in that number in such a small area that were just so high. Like they were.
Gotcha.
It was really, really cool. But yeah, the trail that hiked down to the lake in a little loop, kind of sort of a loop trail around there. They had a beach there. There were people renting paddle boards and paddle boats that you could go out there to that island, like right in the middle of the place as well. I think if you search back on our podcast Facebook page, there's pictures of Emerald Lake State Park that I posted. Really cool place. I would recommend it. They had some shelters there that you could rent out as like campsites. And so I guess my first question for you, and because a lot of the trails, or not a lot of the shelters, were very reminiscent of what I've seen on the AT.
Okay.
Do people hang their hammocks inside the shelters? Like, is that a thing?
Some do. Okay. But here's the thing. I mean, I even hung mine inside a couple, but only if I knew there was nobody else going to be there.
Okay.
I mean, to just show up early and hang your hammock in one is very poor etiquette.
Mm-hmm.
But like whenever I would hang it, there was a couple that I hung mine in. One, I knew it was a shelter that not many people stayed at because of where it was, and I waited well into what would be like hiker midnight time before I even hung mine up, just in case there was somebody late coming in. But no, there's been people, like I've seen people set up a freaking tent inside of a shelter.
I have seen that. I have seen that.
Yeah, that aggravates the crap
like,
out of me too. It's like, you got a tent, put it outside.
Right. I was kind of brainstorming as I'm looking at some of these shelters and going, hey, if I was hanging in a hammock, where would I hang this inside the shelter? If I knew that
not all of them are set up to where you can.
Okay.
I
know there are different shelters for
there's
places,
different ones. I mean, some do have are built where they have areas that you would be able to, attach to. Most not really. But again, I mean, I might have people respond to even me setting up in one of the shelters, but if I did have my shelter or my hammock hung up and somebody else showed up, of course I would take it down.
Right.
But there were some people that they hung it and then they wouldn't take it down, and it just created issues because now they're taking up a whole shelter with one hammock.
Right.
But
Interesting. So, but that was Emerald Lake. We didn't stay there long. It was a good little first stop kind of thing. So the next place, before we get to the next place, we made two little interesting little stops between Emerald Lake and Brewster River. First place that we stopped at was like this little artsy craft kind of shop called the Sparkle House, and
Sparkles.
it was like, I guess it was like a homestead store, and Lisa Frank had a love child. So like the outside had like all of these outdoor decorations and put up, and it was just really, really cool. Inside they had like sundials and wind chimes and just different things. It just looked like this Lisa Frank folder, just had in a store form. It was just really, really, really cool. And the second place that we stopped at Ben and Jerry's in Vermont, and
was it like, the big one?
Yeah, like the big. So they had.
So if it's the one I'm thinking, was it near the AT? Were you near the AT? Close to the AT?
Yes.
Okay, so you were up around Green Mountain area then.
Yes.
Okay, because there's a hostel there in Green Mountain, and when you come off the trail, you get down to the town there, and I forget what grocery store that is, but that's where everybody does their resupply. And across the street is the Ben and Jerry's, and a lot of the hikers, you could go in there and get, I don't know if it was like a Sunday type thing. It was basically a huge bowl.
Yes. The
with like every flavor that they have almost, or you could pick so many flavors or whatever, but it was a huge bowl and one person wouldn't been able to eat it.
Yes. So, all right. So we got the mini Vermonster, but they do have the regular Vermonster, which is like 20 scoops of ice cream.
Yeah. It's like 20 or 25, something like that.
Yeah. So we got the little ones because, well, it's only 4 of us and no one needs that in their life. It was also,
I know exactly where you're at then.
but we got like the mini one, and it was really, really cool. Probably the coolest part of that experience was they had like a flavors graveyard
Okay.
that you could go back and see all the flavors that had retired and or
Oh
died,
yeah.
whatever. So there was a lot of like really cool ones. I'm like, oh man, I wish that was still around. That sounded really,
Yeah,
really cool.
that's a neat place.
But
That was
yeah, I mean, it was cool. I mean, it was a little touristy, but no, it was
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, the Green Mountain Hostel is there. One of the more memorable hostels on the trail. I forget the name of the where the mountain that might be Green Mountain.
Yes,
But
we
the AT
drove
goes over.
like on the road. On the road that was going in front of our campground, you had
Mhm.
our road, and then on the other side, you could see kind of like the Green Mountain Range.
Gotcha.
That's where it was. So,
Well,
uh,
the mountain that we were on before we went down into town to go to the hostel, there was a fire tower at the top. And to stay at the Green Mountain Hostel, you have to make a reservation because they stay busy.
mhm.
So it was me and one of my trail brothers, Banjo. We were up there, and he had called. He had signal on his cell phone, so he called to make reservations for 2 bunks and everything. And we're sitting up there just resting for a few, and this lady comes walking by, just day hiking and stuff.
Mhm.
And she passes by, and we say hey to her and stuff like that. And she just kept on walking. And I don't know if she caught a whiff of us, or I don't know, but I guess she thought that we were homeless.
Oh,
So she made it probably about 15 feet past us, and all of a sudden she stopped, and she like turns around. She goes, "Hey," she goes, "I'm fixing to head to my car." She goes, "I've got some fruit and stuff in here." She goes, "I don't have a whole lot that I can give you, but I got a couple of plums and stuff like that. Would do y'all want something to eat and stuff?" And I'm like, Banjo and I both looked at each other and like, sure. So, but yeah, the lady probably thought we were homeless up there. Probably didn't even know what the AT was, but
man, I would have milked that situation for all it was worth.
oh, dude, yeah, we got plums and oranges and everything else. I mean, she went back down to her car, I guess, with nothing in her bag.
I mean, what some people may call a homeless donation, you call trail magic.
That's exactly it,
There's
buddy.
no real difference.
Nope, not at
But
all.
yeah, so yeah, the Green Mountain area. I honestly wish we could have stayed more, I guess, in that area
Hmm.
because there was a slew more waterfall hikes were in that area that we just weren't going to get to between
Right.
the 2 stops. Yeah. So also between the KOA in Pennsylvania and Emerald Lake, we stopped and got gas. And would you believe it? This large concrete pillar jumped out and punched our camper and left this huge dent on the side of it. I was just pulling in to get gas, and that sucker hopped up.
Were you trying to back up again?
No, I was pulling forward, but apparently I didn't turn sharp enough.
So okay, so
but-
let's see. It's not so much your backing abilities. It's just your
It's just my
towing.
driving.
It's
I don't
just
think I should do it.
you're towing something on the back of your
Again,
vehicle.
I 100% agree. I don't think I should allow to be driving with the tow vehicle. That my wife should totally do all the driving. I think that is a great point. I am horrible, miserable, no good, very bad. I should not be allowed to do it.
Your man
I'll
card
let
is
you have
revoked.
that conversation with
Your
my wife.
man card is revoked.
I don't care. Pinkies up. I don't care.
Oh,
I am totally
goodness.
confident in who I am. Pinkies up. I don't take it. If I don't get it right, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Perfectly okay.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
so, but we get to Brewster River. Brewster River is in the Smuggler's Notch area, and which is, I guess, a kind of straightaway that when the U.S. had a trade embargo with Canada, a lot of smugglers would smuggle goods through this particular area right into Canada because
Okay.
it's relatively close to the Canadian border. Not really, but it's relatively close.
Right.
The campground that we stayed at was also super small, and it had rained quite a lot that a couple nights before, so the area was still pretty muddy and stuff like that. And the campground will take RVs, like small RVs, nothing above 20 feet. So pretty small. We are right at 20 feet with our pop up. And man, I'm glad that we got the site that we did. It was a kind of a little weird backing into it so we would fit, but looking around at some of the other sites, I don't know how we would have gotten into a lot of the other sites. It was allowed to have campers, but it was not really conducive to successfully camping there with a large vehicle. It was definitely
Gotcha.
more tent camping, stuff like that, which it was over Father's Day weekend. So there were a lot of bigger groups, but the campground itself was pretty small, but it was very well maintained.
Gotcha.
It was right on kind of the river that was running through the campground. They had one central bathhouse that they kept super clean. It was really, really nice. They had Wi-Fi there. I mean, not that was really an issue, but no, we enjoyed that campground for what it was worth. I will say we had quite the adventure the first night that we were there, because I'm cooking dinner, and I forget exactly what I was cooking. Probably maybe quesadillas, or maybe it was something I had to heat a little bit more. But I noticed that the Blackstone that we used for cooking, we have a 17-inch Blackstone, probably one of the best camping pieces of gear that we take on every single trip. It's wonderful, and it works perfectly for us. But I noticed that it wasn't getting hot. I'm like, gosh, what? I know I lit it and this and the other. So I looked down, the light went out. So I turned it right back on, not really thinking that, the gas is still very much on. And when that sucker lit up, I just see this flame come and engulf my face. Now,
I'm telling you, you have got to start wearing a body camera when you go out of your house.
Man, now, granted, my beard is, very significantly shorter than it was then. I was still fully supporting the I may be homeless look. However, oh my goodness, any stray fidget of hair got singed off. It was dropping like rain all over my shirt. Luckily, I didn't get hurt or burnt, but man,
you have got to start
shave my beard.
Look, you've got to start videoing everything you do. Everything.
I luckily or unluckily or lucky, depending on how you look at it, no one took a picture of my face like right after it, but it looked and it smelled like a singed cat. It was it was so bad. I was so worried that I just told Dawn, I'm gonna have to shave it all off. I'm going to have to shave off my entire beard. It looks so bad.
Okay, so far in your journey, you've had to detach your trailer and move it manually because you couldn't back it up. You ran your trailer into a pole.
That was not completely my fault.
You ran a trailer into a pole, driving forward.
It attacked me. Unprovoked attack.
You've singed your face.
Yep.
Okay, continue on.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, it was bad. So that was kind of in the back of my head for the rest of the trip as I'm getting like burnt hair and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. It was rough. But so this was over Father's Day weekend. And so this was kind of the pinnacle of this trip and kind of the scar that took me for the rest of the trip. Ironically, it was not the flame bursting out. It was Father's Day. So we had planned on doing this hike to Sterling Pond, which is a little off skirt on Smuggler's Notch Pass. The trail itself was, I want to say, 2-ish miles, maybe a little over 2 miles. However, the trailhead that we were going to use to get to the Sterling Pond was full. But there was another trail about, exactly 1.5 miles down the road. And the reason I know is I'll talk about it later. Oh, it's just a mile and a half down the road. It's a little bit further, but it goes up to the same part, so we'll be fine. Oh, it just follows the Vermont Long Trail. Oh, I know that trail. It has to be, because I know about it, and I live all the way down in Florida. I've never been to Vermont. It must be a very well maintained trail. It must be a pretty popular trail. Oh, that should be fine. We can just add on. It's just another mile and a half. We should be fine. Famous last frickin' words. So it had been raining a little bit because, yeah, that's what it was doing. And so we get on this trail. It's like, oh man, this is kind of a little rocky. And when I say rocky, and you can kind of attest to this, the trails really north of Pennsylvania are rocky as all get out.
Yeah, from Pennsylvania on up.
Yeah, but like like I would say there's not a section of trail that I could hike with my eyes up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I'm constantly looking down to
looking
make sure
down to see where your foot placement's going to be.
Yes. I'm making sure that I'm not rolling an ankle, because it even at my weight now, like I would rather you, Paul, punch me in the face than roll an ankle. Like rolling an ankle to me is the worst experience ever. Hinting why when I finished my AT through hike and I almost rolled my ankle. That would have been bad. But
I'm sorry. I would have laughed on that one.
I hate you so much.
I would have laughed.
But it was that was beginning. Oh, friend, we only went maybe 3 miles on this Vermont Long Trail. Hands down, the hardest hiking that I have ever done in my life.
Yeah, the only part of the long trail that I've done is the AT section. There's a section of the long trail and the AT that are the same thing. And then once you get up to a certain point, the AT kind of veers to the right and the long trail kind of goes towards to the left. I think now I do know, a few people that have hiked the entire long trail, and from what I hear, it's kind of comparable to the AT, but a lot of parts are more rugged.
It was nothing like any part of the AT that I've been on.
Yeah.
It was like a 3-mile
go to Maine
rock scramble.
Go to Maine and hike the AT.
Yeah. I'll get there. I'll get there. Just like we had our trekking poles that we weren't using. We were almost like throwing them ahead so we could just climb up. Now, I know the AT is infamous for not knowing what a switchback is.
Sure.
But this trail, sweet fancy Moses, it was like it was hard. Like and I'm in relatively decent shape right now. I was really worried about, because I have my daughter with me, I have my wife with me, which, I mean, she's in fairly decent shape too. But I have my son with me who isn't. And I was just like, this is going to be miserable, because what I have found in my hiking kind of short thing is I'm great with hiking when I'm around positive people. Mm-hmm. But when I'm with people that are legitimately just like, oh, this is hard. Oh, like I want to kill someone. Like it makes a good experience miserable. Like
it's different when you feel responsible for the other people that you're hiking with too.
Oh, that's true too.
I mean, if you're not responsible for the person you're hiking with and all that, you don't have it's almost, you're not having to worry as much. When
we do our foothills trail, are you going to be responsible for me?
No, you're a grown man.
Are you going to carry?
I'm going to be responsible for holding the camera the whole time. So I know something's going to happen.
Stupid.
I know something's going to happen.
It's only a matter of time. But no, so this, I think, cumulatively, because we get up to the end of where this trail ends and we get on our original trail. It's only a mile out to Sterling Pond. Like, that's a breeze.
Right.
We hike back down, and we hike back down the trail that we were going to hike. Now, granted, going down, it was not easy, but it was not bad like the other stuff. At one point, we were thinking when we were on the Vermont Long Trail, oh, do we go back? But we didn't, because we were terrified of hiking downhill the way that we had hiked uphill. Like, that would have just been miserable, because the rocks were slippery, and it would have been bad.
Yeah, downhill can be worse than uphill sometimes.
Oh, it always is. Like, that's one of the little epiphanies that I had. Like, you can always tell the difference between someone that has been hiking a long time and someone that is new. The person that's new will say, oh, yay, it's all downhill. And the seasoned hiker is like, no, downhill is so much worse.
Downhill will kill your knees if you don't have trekking poles.
Oh, man. I'd much rather hike uphill than downhill. Like, just
uphill is tiring.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong.
But my knees don't hate me.
Right.
Like downhill.
Right. But I have to have trekking poles though.
Yes.
When hiking.
Yeah. I've officially entered that I am a always trekking poles
have to.
kind of person.
Have to. Two trekking poles.
Yep.
One in each hand.
100%.
I can't 100%. Do the one. I can't do just the staff. Has to be two trekking poles.
I think we all fell at some point during the day. Luckily, none of them.
When I'm out hiking, I'm sure I look like one of those creatures from, what was it, the Dark Crystal movie from way on back in the day,
right?
One that had walks on like or one of the Star Wars creatures that kind of walks on the floor. I don't know.
You know the other thing that really bummed me out about this hike, other than it kicked my rear end,
was like, that
the views.
I wasn't there.
The views were not really all that great. Like, I have worked significantly less to see significantly better views.
You know what those are called?
Views and things like that were just like, oh.
Do you know what those sections of the trail are called?
What are they called?
PUDs.
PUDs?
PUDs. P-U-D-S. Pointless ups and downs.
Oh.
They're PUDs.
This was beyond pointless. This was painful. This was miserable.
Okay, painful up and downs.
That
whatever you want to, whatever way you want to use it. But yeah, no, they're people call them PUDs because you hike to the top of this mountain, think you're gonna have a great view. You get up there and all you see is trees, and then you come back down. It's a pointless up and down.
It was horrible. It was horrible. But so yeah, it took us 6 hours to do like this hike. No, it was like 8 hours.
Okay.
It was 8 hours to do the hike, because once we got back down to the main trailhead that we initially had planned to do it, I hiked the 1.5 miles down the road to get our car and drive us back, because at that point I was just like, you all just need to rest. We were out of water. Luckily we had a filter, and so we filtered water at the pond, because we had ran out of water because the trail kicked our butts. Like, we were not physically, mentally, or spiritually prepared for the Vermont Long Trail. And I think culminating, and I think I remember talking to you when we were out, I completely understand now why there are so many more Nobos than Sobos on the AT.
Mm-hmm.
Like, totally get it, because you need all of that northbound to get you ready for really anything north of Maine.
Yeah. Yes and no. Okay. I mean, I don't know that. I mean, I think it would suck going straight up to Baxter State Park and starting the trail there to go up Katahdin and then turn around and just come back down. You know, the Katahdin being the start of the hike. I mean, that hike would suck, especially coming, from somewhere like here in Florida and stuff like that, or if you're not real used to hiking every day. Mm-hmm. But I mean, honestly, most people I think do the Nobo hike because of that finish. Having the finish at Katahdin is so much better than having the finish at Springer Mountain going south. That would be very anticlimactic. But one of these years, okay, you said that about getting prepared and stuff like that. One of these years, I want you to go up to Amicalola State Falls or State Park. Okay. Yeah. Do the approach trail from Amicalola to Springer Mountain. Just do that little section. It's 8.8 miles. Just do that little.
We were there. We were at Amicalola. We were at the start of the trail back in March. Yeah, it was March. So
just do that little section for me, or do that little section and then get back with me.
Okay.
Because that section, the approach trail will kick your rear end.
Yeah, I have heard.
It's no joke.
I have heard that. But just all the trails, it wasn't just the long trail, but all the trails up in that northeast section that we did in Vermont, in New Hampshire, and in Maine. Man, there were no flat spots. There were no spots that you could just look up, put your brain on autopilot, and just hike. It was constant, like, where is my footing going?
Yeah, it's not like hiking the Shenandoahs.
Yeah.
By the time we got to the
Shenandoahs, it was like hiking on the beach.
Yeah.
It was just like, go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Brewster River, small campground. We got Smuggler's Notch, to Sterling Pond, which kicked our butts. We get back, and I'm just like, originally I'd planned on getting a steak and just cooking it at the campground, but I'm just like, I just need somewhere that I can go. Now we went to a place that we had been before, earlier in this trip. It was Stowe Cidery, which we were in Stowe, Vermont. Amazing cider. Like, their cider was really, really good. The food was really, really crappy. I got like pulled pork tacos or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was just like, the Southerner in me was like, oh, bless your heart. You tried, and you did, and they were dry, and it was not good. The cider was amazing. The cider was.
You didn't get any sweet tea, did you?
I did not, just because Sleepy Wonder will only take so many liquids, and for me to consume cider.
You definitely would have been using the phrase "bless your heart."
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe
you ask for sweet tea up north, and you get a glass of cold unsweetened tea with sugar packets.
Yes.
So you always have to ask whenever you order sweet tea: is the sugar before or after the ice?
Right. So Stowe Cidery was really, really good. I'll probably be ordering some cider from them, just because Dawn was her favorite cidery that we went to the entire trip. Another really thing about this particular trip was this stop was when the weather stopped being nice. And so our next stop being Lafayette State Park in, the Franconia Notch State Park in New Hampshire. But we're going to save that for episode 2 of my summer vacation trip, because we still have a lot to cover. In next episode, we will have all the adventures that we had at Lafayette Place and Franconia Notch. We will have our Dolly Cop stop in Mount Washington, and a little bit more of the Whites. And finally, our pinnacle of our trip in Acadia National Park, followed by our little jaunt in Shenandoah National Park, as well as just some extra tips and tricks and things that I've learned about the trail, especially some of the gear that I've used, some of the food that we've created, and some interesting culinary delights that I've discovered along the way. So we will cover that in episode 2. I really hope you guys have enjoyed hearing about the first half of my summer 2024 road trip extravaganza the Glen Clan has gone on. And I hope you join us again next time for part 2. Until next time, everybody, happy angling.
As we gently sway out of another hammock-filled episode, we want to thank you, our wonderful listeners, for hanging out with us on the Hammock Hangers podcast. We hope that you have found relaxation, inspiration, and a renewed sense of connection to nature through our discussions. Remember to keep that hammock spirit alive in your daily life, whether it's by taking a few moments to unwind in your own backyard oasis or by planning your next hammock adventure in the great outdoors. Embracing the tranquility, embracing the simplicity, and never forget the joy that comes from simply hanging around. Before we part ways, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date with all things hammock related. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for the Hammock Hangers Podcast. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to hang with you again on our next episode. Until then, stay relaxed, stay adventurous, and keep on hanging those hammocks high. From all of us here at the Hammock Hangers Podcast, we wish you peaceful hangs and endless relaxation. Thank you for tuning in. Happy hanging, everyone.